right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army, match week 35, and we got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the Premier League, where Liverpool was crowned champs, and we'll talk a little bit about if they're going to come for Manchester United's crown. Also, big week for Pep, and also Team Love. Halftime will be a Darvin Ham related weekly What If. Around the world, the heart of the episode will come in this segment this week, where we'll be breaking down the Champions League and Europa League semifinal first legs coming up this week. And then stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets, where, yes, the overtime, we had a little bump. So, all right. And everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's Tweedle-heavy panel of beauties, starting with our resident professional athlete, Mr. Tommy McGunner. I saw a tweet or maybe a social media post of some sort about post-game celebrations after your last gasp win over Lexington on Saturday. So first of all, congratulations, quite a win there. But what does a post-game night out on the town usually consist of for you and the lads?
It depends where. Typically, it's like a couple beers.
That's it. Just a couple beers.
Yeah.
First of all, you're not actually able to tell us if it was something else. So I guess, okay. Fair enough.
I'm not
Fair
joking.
enough. Couple. I actually believe you. I 100% believe you. I'm just not sure that everybody is quite as dedicated to the craft, shall we say. But I believe you. All right. Next up, Mr. Mitchell Goulet, a.k.a. Overtime Mitch. Now, if you recall, Mitch, last week, I gave you a compliment because I had this, the introductory question written out and I didn't finish it. Well, now I finished it. I went back, sort of, dug deep in my mind and got back into the same headspace and remembered what I wanted to ask you. And this is what it was. So in my mind, I'm kind of a big believer in the, if you give up one vice, you end up just compensating with other vices. So I was complimenting you on the fact that you've, basically just given up alcohol for months and months until you dunk. So I was going to ask if you've noticed that principle, and if so, what vices have been your new ones?
It's funny that you always ask us about our consumption habits, and we never really get to ask you about yours.
It's
Um,
true. Fair
I
point.
don't, I don't think I've replaced it with anything. Yeah, I mean, I still smoke weed every day and drink coffee every day, but I was doing those things anyway. I play way less video games now because I loved having 3 beers and playing video games. If you've never tried it, I highly recommend. Um, but no, I don't think I've really replaced it with anything. And I don't really miss it all that much, which is crazy. Like I do miss the social aspect of like going to a bar. Um, and I'll still go to a bar and slug ginger ales, but I don't know. I'll go back to drinking, but I don't think I will be as heavy a drinker as I was before.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've heard your generation. I'll say that we're in different
Hmm.
generations now. Apparently, I've heard you guys drink a lot less than
Yeah.
our generation. So
Well,
maybe you're just
one, it's not financially viable for us to drink as much as you guys, and two, I think we just see less value in it.
the value. I completely agree with you on that one. Now the price, yeah, I guess I had expendable income. Now it just all goes to various kids. Yeah,
Mhm.
in and out the door. But I still make time and money from a little Coronas and Pacificos. All right, let's head along to the Premier League, where of course we got to start with the official end to the 2024-25 title race. Mo Salah and company finished things off in style by doing unspeakable things to Tottenham Hotspur. This is, of course, the Tottenham Hotspur side that hasn't given a single fuck about the league in months, it feels like. So first and foremost, let's give Liverpool their flowers, give them their just rewards. They did quite well this season. Let's sort of take us all back to August when we're thinking forward to what's going to happen this season. Nobody, and this includes Tyler Terrence, nobody had Liverpool winning in Arne Slot's first season. So congratulations, an incredible season. Tommy, any other sort of glazing you want to do about Liverpool this year?
Nope. They had the best attacker. Uh, probably the best center back, and you could make an argument for the best goalie. That goes a long way. regardless of what level you're playing at.
Mm-hmm.
If you can score more than the opposition and give up less goals, that's usually a good recipe. But the other thing I really admire about them is Arne Slot's humility, like to know what you have, to be flexible, to pay homage to the guy who came before you, and not just kind of immediately come in with this ego of like we have to do it strictly my way, but a bit of balance on hey, what are these guys good at, and what can I bring to them? That for me is a storyline that needs more credit, and so that's my big takeaway.
Yeah, I mean he's done a great job. Is he your manager of the year
Yeah,
Yeah.
without question?
Win the league in your first season. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Mitch?
Echo all that. I don't think anybody at the beginning of the year could have predicted what City would have looked like at this time, and throughout the season. So the fact that we through like halfway through the season realized that wow, this is really anybody's league, and then Liverpool went and took it by the scruff of the neck. Good for them. They stayed relatively healthy all season. They did like anybody. They have an injury bug here or there, but for the most part, the players stepped up when they needed to. They had the best player in the league. They had the best all-around team in the league, and they deserved it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We had some good shouts in the chat, by the way. If you're not in the chat, get on the Sam's Army Patreon so you can get in the chat. But Adam F., who is an Everton fan, by the way, said love them or hate them, and I hate them a ton. You have to admit they play beautiful soccer. That's true. They were good. They're a worthy champs. Question now that we've crowned them, we've given them their rewards for this season. They just signed Mo Salah, re-signed Mo Salah. They just re-signed Virgil van Dijk. Now, these are guys that are in their 30s. They're on the wrong side of 30, but they are quite good. Do you, Mitchell, do you think that they have a chance to? So right now they're on 20 titles. That's not Premier League titles. Obviously, this goes back far beyond the Premier League. This goes back to the beginning of the first division. But they have 20 top flight titles. Manchester United, as I'm sure everybody's heard from every Manchester United fan in their life, has 21 titles at this point. Do you think that this particular Liverpool team, led by Mo Salah and VVD and everybody else, do you think that this team could overtake Manchester United?
If there's a team to do it, it's them. Yeah. United don't seem like they're in a position to defend that number anytime soon. And by soon, I mean within the next like 3 to 5 years, even. They look lost. They need a page one rewrite for the position they're in the table right now. Even if they win Europa, I'm serious. Even if they win Europa, this should not be deemed as like a successful season in the eyes of United fans. I don't think United fans would feel that way either. Like any result that they've gotten this year has been kind of gross, and there's no United style. There's no pride in playing for that badge anymore. Like it's just been a down season. So they need to change something. Do I think, back to the question, do I think, the Salah and Van Dijk era of Liverpool are going to overtake them? I don't see them going back to back. It was a really tight race this year with a down City year, and we were fighting till pretty much the very end. We had some injury bug in the middle of the season as well that kind of put a pin in that. I don't see Liverpool winning it again next year, and I don't know how long Salah and Van Dijk's contracts are, but they seem like they are on the back nine. And maybe this younger generation of Liverpool players and this next, your Luis Diaz's and your Endos and just your core Liverpool team can get back to that level, but I don't see Salah and Van Dijk winning another Premier League.
And Salah and Van Dijk are kind of the figureheads of this team. If they're gone, Trent's gone, it's going to be a very different team, and they're going to have to replace those actual sort of difference makers. I have my doubts. Tommy, what do you think? I mean, they've got, let's say 3, 4, maybe more years of this team. You think they can win 1 or 2 Premier Leagues?
Yeah, to be honest, I think this question has nothing to do with the current crop of players, even if they do eclipse United. I just think Liverpool is a much smarter organization, more data driven. They are more prepared for long-term success than United has ever been. You lose your charismatic manager in Sir Alex, and you have yet to recover 10, 15 years later, whereas Liverpool did it the first year after. And for me, that's the ultimate sign that they're just a better run club and have been for the last 10, 15 years. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. They will continue to get smarter as United try to catch up.
It'll be interesting to see how this Mo Salah contract works. So they gave him 2 years. I don't know how many they gave Van Dijk.
I think it's 2 years too.
2 years as well.
Okay, that would be my guess.
So it'll be interesting to see. Mo Salah, I think, is 32. Van Dijk's 33. So I don't know. I have my doubts, but they've already proven us wrong this season. So I can't say anything too definitively at this point. But well done. Well done, Liverpool. Worthy champs. Now, the only other real talking point we got going at the moment is the battle for top 5, where we've got 5 teams trying to get 3 slots to the Champions League for next season. Obviously, that could be supplemented by the Europa League winner, which might be United or Tottenham, so we could have actually 6 teams in the Champions League. But for right now, let's focus on the battle for top 5. The couple teams held serve. Newcastle beat Ipswich handily. Chelsea held off Everton. That one was a close one, 1-0. And Nottingham Forest actually has not even played yet. They play on Thursday at home against Brentford, so TBD on that. The big game in the top 5 battle this week actually took place last week on, I believe it was Tuesday, when City took a huge step forward by beating Villa 2-1 in a game, for the record, that Mikey did predict. Let's give him a little shout out there. The big thing that I took away from that game was Unai Emery. He played way too conservatively. He waited till, I don't know, the 70-something minute to get Ollie Watkins in there, who Watkins is playing quite well. It just felt like he was playing not to lose instead of playing to win against a City team that has shown all season. Now, yes, they're hot right now, but they've shown all season that you can get scored on. So I thought Unai Emery really screwed up that game, and I thought he's had a fantastic season. Villa's been incredible, but they just seem like they're running out of steam. And I think that game, and also we'll get to the FA Cup in a minute, just kind of encapsulates the fact that they're just running on fumes right now. And add in the fact that Unai Emery, I think, made a bit of a hash of that game against City. And Villa is in a tough spot, kind of on the outside looking in on that 5-team battle for 3 spots. So I've got, I'll just give you my thoughts on the battle at this point. I think Villa will end up missing out on Champions League next season, just given the way the season's going. They just look like they're running on fumes, and they got a tough run in. I also think Chelsea is going to end up missing out, because not only do they got a tough schedule come down the stretch, but they also still are in the Conference League. So that, obviously is going to take some energy and be a little bit of a distraction. So if I had to guess right now, I think Chelsea and Aston Villa will end up missing out. You guys got any disagreement there?
Forest has slowly slipped away.
Yeah.
They have a favorable schedule, but they play Chelsea on the last day, which I think could be interesting.
That's awesome.
I do think Villa's schedule is really tough as well. And Newcastle and Chelsea play each other. I think Newcastle's safe. So I agree with you that I think it's between Chelsea and Forest for that 5th spot. And then Newcastle and City, for me, are pretty much not locks, but in good positions.
Mitchell?
Yeah, I think City has a pretty favorable schedule for the rest of the year. Wolves, Southampton, etc. Tommy's right. Forest are losing steam at the wrong time, and we are on paper on this podcast as being very pro Forest and wanting success for them this season. I think they get in. I think they're able to get the results they need, especially on Thursday. Big 3 points on Thursday would shake up this table quite a bit. There's a lot of congestion right there in the 3 to 6 to 7 spot. I think Forest get in. I think Chelsea miss out.
I'm with
An interesting thing about Forest, to your point, Mitch, I just looked at their schedule. Besides who they play, it's when they play. They play Sunday or Monday every week.
Oh, interesting.
So I think that's another thing to be on the lookout for. Like I think that happened to Arsenal a lot in their first title run in, something where you're kind of a surprise achiever, and then the pressure of having to match form with some of these big teams will be interesting to see.
So you think it's a pressure thing, and you think it's a bad thing that they're playing on Mondays and Sundays?
Yeah. For someone who's I would think would prefer to set the tone as the underdog instead of having to keep up with the likes of City, Newcastle, Chelsea, I think is a lot easier.
Okay, interesting. I think that they're running with Leicester, Palace, who is going to be completely focused on the FA Cup now, and West Ham, who just can't do anything right seemingly. I think that they got a nice schedule. They have to win that game on against Brentford on Thursday. If they do that, I do think that they're going to hang on. All right. Move on to FA Cup quickly. So the FA Cup semifinals took place in parallel with the domestic matches this weekend. The winners were Manchester City, came away 2-0 winners over Forest. And Crystal Palace hung a number on Aston Villa, 3-0. So the takeaways I had from those were, number one, Palace. First of all, the fans, they were they were into it at Wembley. They showed up, and the team, showed up to back them up. It was just a great performance from Palace. And as I said earlier, it just looks like Villa is losing steam on the season, and they just didn't have it at all. And then I actually have a secret of Manchester City's win over Forest. But first, any thoughts from you guys on the FA Cup games?
Yeah, I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit and might be speaking prematurely. At the preview that we gave at the beginning of the year,
Yeah,
I was super high on Palace saying they're going to make Europe. And this sounds like
they might.
a very backdoor way for them to make Europe.
I remember you saying that. Wow. You didn't say how he was gonna. They were gonna do.
Yeah,
It.
that's
They were
right.
gonna make
Yeah.
Europe.
This wasn't what I was picturing, but it still counts.
Anything doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there.
Yeah, so I'm pulling for Palace big time.
I was gonna say, I think everybody and their mother is gonna be pro Palace in this FA Cup final. I wonder if we've ever had, a matchup like, well, probably Watford when they were playing Man City a few years ago, probably a similar type dynamic. By the way, the secret to Manchester City's recent success, I know Mikey will say, oh, they're just rounding into form. This is what they do, blah, blah, blah. No, Pep is back on Team Love. He is getting back together with Mrs. Pep. So he is proving to everybody that he is on Team Love. And you know what? Ever since they announced that, they beat Villa, they beat Forest in the FA Cup. Mm-hmm. They are on the road to get their Champions League spot that I'm sure they believe is rightfully theirs, at least the way they spend money. And it's Pep and Team Love are at the heart of it all in my mind. So congratulations to Pep. If there is a reason that I am rooting for him, it's because he's on Team Love, and I'm always about Team Love. Anything else? We ready to go? FPL. So weird week. Match week 34. I came into it thinking, man, I'm looking good. I got 6 guys on double game weeks. I got like great matchups for all my guys. My entire team for match week 34 was awful. I was garbage. I got absolutely killed in the Sam's Army Podcast Cup League by, I can't remember who beat me. I should give them a shout out. But in 35, I was kind of scrambling. I had all these guys, like Villa guys and City and whoever else was playing. Like I had a bunch of guys out, so I was totally scrambling. I scored 90 points. Every single player that I put out there scored like a serious amount of points. Trippier 15, 8 Nouri, 11, Cunha 15, Mo Salah 8, turned into 16 with captain. So unfortunately for Geb, I whooped your ass in the cup, son. Take your whooping. Now, are you guys? Where are you guys in the cups? In the various cups?
I am firmly at the bottom of our Sam's Army like admin league, but I'm through in the cup. Barring like a 4-goal performance from Visa on Thursday, I'm through in the cup. Just beat, let's see, I just beat Mo Money from Michael in the round of 32, and I'm on the round of 16.
And so that's the whole podcast cup,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
Wow.
everybody. Yeah.
Damn. All right. Tommy, you live in any of the cups?
I'm alive in one, and I'm assuming I'm gonna lose one of them because I only have. Actually, I've got 4 players playing. There's a
On
shout.
Thursday?
Yeah, I got Embuemo, Wood, Milenkovic, Murillo.
Oh.
So some are going to cancel out on each other.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I just checked. Oh, yeah. I need 32 points from them. So I need 8-point performance from everyone. There we go.
It's not unthinkable. I mean, I was just saying that I beat Geb in the Discord specific cup, but to be honest, he still has 3 players going on Thursday, so maybe I shouldn't be counting my chickens quite yet. By the way, in the Sam's Army Council of Elders, where everybody is eyes on the bottom of the table, the relegation battle, Mitch is currently 1 point up on Tyler Terrence and FCTT, 1958 to 1957. In the podcast wide league, Magnets, Patrick Kelly still in first. The top 3 are all the same. Magnets, Patrick Kelly, Anna Cortez, Luke McCullough, and Cunnerlingus, Rob Carey. We got Eurovision and Mike Evans, moving up into 4th, and then Ryan Nowland and Mo Salah, Mo Problems 8.0 has moved into 5th. So yeah, the bottom of the barrel battle there is the one to watch in the Sam's Army Council of Elders, because the loser will be doing a TikTok dance, and nobody wants to do that. All right, now to finish up the Premier League really quickly, we have a weekend preview ahead, and honestly, what's left? Just the top 5 battle, to be honest. That's really the only thing of note to focus on. And so there's 5 teams. We got City hosting Wolves on Friday, Villa hosting Fulham on Saturday, Brighton hosting Newcastle on Sunday. So I should have said Newcastle going to Brighton on Sunday, Chelsea hosting newly crowned champs Liverpool also on Sunday, and then Palace hosting Forest on Sunday. So of those 5 that are involved in the top 5 battle, Mitch, which one are you, I don't know, most intrigued by, or perhaps should be on biggest upset alert there?
Upset alert. What if Chelsea just beats Liverpool? What if Liverpool puts out just a B squad and Chelsea are able to, I don't know, find some space against them? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm kidding.
Probably not, but it's not unthinkable.
No, it's not crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. The one with like the most ramifications is going to be Villa Fulham. Emery has had a shit week. Little insight to my Goa, but I think Villa can turn it around. Like I said, I think Chelsea are going to miss out on Europe, and I think Forest and Villa will get in.
Okay. Tommy, which of the 5 are you most interested in?
Palace Forest on Monday. That's like I said earlier, I'm waiting to see them have to kind of follow everyone else through the rest of the week.
Okay. That's pretty much it for the Premier League. Now, one thing we did forget. We didn't get a message from our good friends over at Kick It at the top of the episode, because my brain can only handle so many thoughts at one time. So, quickly, Kick It is the sponsor for this week's episode, the one-stop shop for all your soccer tennis needs. Mitch, in the absence of Mr. Tyler Terrence, why don't you give us a little bit of a spiel on why people need to go check out kickit.net?
Don't think I can do it as well as the Minuteman himself, but we can give it a shot. Kick It is the one-stop shop for all your soccer tennis for this summer coming up. The weather's getting nicer out there, and folks are wanting to go to the beach. You want to go to the park. You want to go hang out with your friends outside. Listen to this podcast outside, and while you're doing it, play soccer tennis with your friends. There's no better way to get moving around. You can have a drink in your hand the entire time as well. It really is, the ball is designed for people without a touch and people with a touch, so it's fun for everybody. The code that gives you a nice hefty discount is Sam25 at checkout. That'll give you a nice easy discount, and it's the activity for the summer. You really have to get on it. Nice easy carrying case, take it anywhere with you. I like playing it at the park with my friends. If you're in New York, you want to go to Prospect Park, you want to go to Central Park, hit me up. Let's play some kick it out there. I'm serious. I am down anytime, anywhere, but you have to get it with this discount code SAM25. So
there you go. Well done. You handled it with aplomb, I would say. Well done. All right, halftime, where we will hit the weekly what if, the hypothetical of the week. And so this one, I don't know where I came up with this one, to be honest, but I saw the news, or on the news, that Darvin Ham, who is a former LA Lakers coach, currently the Milwaukee Bucks, one of Milwaukee Bucks' assistant coaches, he had his storage unit from back in Los Angeles sold at auction. I assume because he, just stopped paying the monthly fees and I guess didn't really feel like he needed anything in there. But it got me thinking, if you could bid at auction on a storage locker for one current or former soccer player, anybody in the world, anybody in history, who would it be and why? It's very broad, very big question, very important question. Mitch, I feel like you got to go first on this one.
I have a couple follow-ups. Are we assuming that this player is keeping like traded jerseys in this locker too? That's kind of what I'm after. I have no idea what Darvin Ham would have in a storage locker, but I assume a well-traveled player would have some really cool jerseys, and maybe an artifact or two. Sergio Ramos comes to mind because I think he's taken a lot of incredible players' kits and ankles as well, and I think he has some like maybe weird relics from each one of his red cards. I would love to see like if Sergio Ramos has a physical red card that he signed or was given at one point. I think that's in there. I'm speculating as to what's in his storage locker, but I think I'm going to go Sergio Ramos. Yeah.
I think that's good. I mean, he's been around forever. He's been playing for decades. He's also just accumulated so many cool things that there's so many things he's just forgotten about that would be awesome that he would just have in like a locker that aren't even like in his, top 1,000 worth of, type keepsakes. I think that's a good call. I think that's a very good call.
Ooh, one other thing, I would say Jose as well, if we're going coaches. I would love the silver medal that he like threw into the crowd after he lost that final. Oh, I would love it because that it's not on display anywhere in his house. That's just in a storage locker or like deep in a cardboard box in the back of a closet somewhere. I think Jose probably has some trophies.
Okay, fair enough. In the chat, by the way, Adam F is throwing out Zlatan.
That's a good one.
For obvious reasons. Riley, Diego Maradona.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can infer where Riley's mind was at on that one. Tommy, who are you going with?
Peaches has a good one there too. I was between two if we're going down the same like path of Mitch, and for me it's someone who has like the ultimate respect of everyone else that are like offering them gifts or offering jerseys. Like they are being sought out by other people because there's so much respect for that person. And for me, that's Modric and Totti. I think Totti for like the one club hero and maybe some of the jerseys he has over like multiple generations of players. He probably has stuff from like early 90s heyday of Serie A or like modern day Serie A. And then Modric, I think everyone has ultimate respect for him and wants to trade jerseys with them. He's like every players or your favorite player's favorite player, whatever it is. And I think he has that respect. So he's probably got some really cool stuff in there. And he's gone through a couple bouts of tax fraud. So he might have some stuff hidden in a storage closet.
Okay, fair shot. So my head immediately went. You guys actually had good answers, and I'm good with both of those. I'm going with Mario Balotelli because you just absolutely have no idea. He's been around. He's played in some awesome places. He's won some cool things. He's played with a lot of awesome people. he's also just an absolute wild card, and you don't know what would be in there. I think it'd be pretty exciting to see what exactly Mario Balotelli would keep in, just keep period. What are the kind of things that he would actually keep? So that'd be my pick, Mario Balotelli. Let's see. Last but not least, another chat. Does Gianni Infantino count? Yes, Riley. A good shout. Might have misplaced some incentives. A couple million here, a couple million there. You never really know. All right, Quincy Promes. Another good shout. All right, we will move on to the Round the World segment, where this is really the meat of the episode this week, because we, as we've discussed, the Premier League has some of the juice has been sucked out of it, given the sort of boring run in at the bottom and the fact that Liverpool took care of business so early. But there's a lot to talk about in Europe. We got the Champions League coming up. This is also for Champions League and Europa League. We have the first legs of the semifinals on Tuesday and Wednesday for Champions League, and that is Arsenal hosting PSG and Barcelona hosting Inter Milan, respectively. And then Thursday we got a doubleheader. Actually, we have the Conference League as well, but we're not gonna stoop that low. Sorry, Chelsea fans. We're gonna talk about Europa League, where we got Tottenham hosting Bodo Glimt, the Norwegian minnows, relatively speaking, and Athletic Bilbao hosting Manchester United. And those games, of course, is Manchester United and Tottenham's. It's not Super Bowl, but it is our just everything. That's all we got left. But let's start with Champions League. Let's start with the teams that actually won their way into the competition and continue to win all season. Arsenal hosting PSG. We never really gave Arsenal their due for beating Real Madrid last week in the Champions League. So quickly, since we have Tweedles here, if you guys want to give yourselves a little bit of a round of applause or take a little victory lap, this is your opportunity to go for it, Mitch.
Job's not finished.
Okay. I respect that. So what do you think about the matchup with PSG? White hot PSG, who has now taken down two English teams in a row, Liverpool and Aston Villa. Granted, now Aston Villa gave him quite a little battle. So, Mitch, what do you think on that one?
Similarly nervous. I am kind of happy that we're hosting first instead of going to the Parc des Princes first and maybe getting into a shootout there. Our form at home has been unbelievable all season. We have yet to lose a game at home in the Champions League, and we've conceded, I want to say, 6 goals total at home. So I like where we're at. It's the best possible scenario for what we could do. But where do goals come from? We have Trossard up top. I just I've looked at this lineup all season and been a little uneasy with exactly what it looks like in the attacking third, but we always seem to find a way. But to my knowledge, I've never heard of a Champions League winning team that has just kind of found a way the entire season. This is PSG. This is a very good PSG team with arguably the best front three in the world, apart from Barcelona, who we will likely meet in the final. But I'm scared. I'm a little nervous. I'm similarly nervous to when we played Madrid, but there's no team that I would rather us put out there right now. Like, we look good. So excited, nervous, scared, optimistic, all of the above, seriously.
All right. Tommy, any Tommy talking tactics here you want to hit us with?
They've already played each other once, so I think this will be tactically it'll be pretty interesting. That game was pretty dull, but Arsenal was in control. And I sense that game, maybe the Inter game, I forget if the Inter game was the week before or week after. Arsenal hasn't really had a close game in Champions League. And PSG's had a lot of close games, PKs, a nervy end at Villa. So over 2 legs, PSG's probably a little bit more prepared for a nail biter. And Arsenal hasn't had that yet. So is it one of those that they're just not prepared to close out a close game, knockout stage pressure, or has kind of PSG's luck luck ran out, and so I'll be curious to see that. And either way, it's really tough to beat a team 3 times in one season, let alone 2 of the best teams in the world. So yeah, I'm a little nervous about that.
Does it feel like you're playing a different PSG team this time? I mean, like I know that they were never bad, right? But they were. It didn't feel like they were the same team that they are now when you played them the first time.
Yeah, maybe you say the same about Arsenal too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both kind of found form later in our seasons, respectively. I, from the outside looking in, I really like the vibe and the energy that you see on the field and then carried off the field as well. Like our players all seem like they're on the same page. We have one goal in mind, and it's beating PSG at home. It's kind of a luxury. They're a blessing in disguise, I should say, that we don't have to focus on the Premier League anymore. I feel as confident as I could be about this team.
You could probably argue too that both of these teams are facing a better version of what they just faced in the last round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tommy, do you think this game, do you think we'll see most of the ball this game in a way that we saw the ball with Madrid? Like Madrid tried to open up that game and did to an extent, and we kind of absorbed that well. Do you think PSG will do something similar and try to counter? And, do you think we will do something similar with like being real patient in our build up?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think PSG will probably want the ball a little bit more than Madrid, but is them having the ball meaning that they just want to kind of defend with the ball? And I think Arsenal does a lot of fluid rotations, and like whoever occupies center back could then occupy left mid or whatever. Like they're very fluid from moment to moment. But in the first leg of that Madrid game, they did a lot less of the rotations. I think they were pretty cautious with Madrid on the counter, and I think you'll see some of that again. There was one game that they recently played where the team they put out was what I thought they would do for this this first game, and I want to figure out which one it was. It might have been Ipswich game. Yeah,
Right.
The Ipswich game with Marino at left mid and Trossard high. I think we could see that again.
Riley had a comment in the chat. This midfield battle is going to be fascinating. Partey is going to be a huge miss, but Marino might help us overpower them there.
Yeah, the thing about that situation is like, is it Nunes? No, yeah, right. The little Portuguese guy.
PSG's Vitinha, or no? Yeah, Nunez as well.
Nunes. What is it? João Nunes? I'm blanking.
João Neves.
João Neves.
I think João is usually a pretty good guess.
He is a monster too. So like he is maybe half the size of Marino, but could overpower this game as well. And I think you'll definitely miss Partey in that sense. And for me, he's key if they want to control the tempo with or without the ball. And so if Arsenal can figure out how to kind of distract him, overpower him, I think we're in good shape. But if he can control that game and break play up really, really nicely, and then spring a counter, I think we're in trouble. And in big games in the past, Odegaard's been liable for a couple giveaways in those moments, and so I'm nervous about that.
That was one sentiment that I saw brought up, is the size differential in PSG's midfield versus ours. We have Rice, Partey, Marino, guys that'll go win the ball and put a shoulder into you, and then they have Vitinha and João Neves. Fabian Ruiz he's a healthy 6'1", 6'2", I think, but all in all, we have the bigger players, and that could benefit us in those little lofted back post balls and anything aerial in the midfield. I like us in that scenario, and we've been pretty good at winning second balls all season. So I like the midfield battle. I think it'll be very, very interesting, and that'll be where the game is won.
Quick one answer, or not one word answer. I know Tommy loves those, but just quick prediction that I won't hold you to in terms of best bets. What do you think the prediction on the first leg score will be, Tommy?
1-0 Arsenal.
I also, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
1-0.
low on this one.
Yep.
Okay. All right. The other game on Wednesday, Barcelona, hot like fire. Barcelona, fresh off their Copa del Rey final victory, come up against Inter, and this will be in Spain. Inter, as great as they've been pretty much all season, have hit a terrible run of form lately. They lost to Roma at the weekend. They lost to Inter Milan, or not Inter. They lost to Milan, AC Milan, in the Cup. I believe that was last week.
Mhm.
And that was a semifinal. They lost to Bologna before that. Like, so they are not in the form that they would want to be in the Champions League semifinal at this point. Whereas Barcelona is just flying. Like, yeah, they lost to Dortmund, but that was a game where, just like PSG against Aston Villa, they came in kind of in a weird place, having gone up in the first leg, and they held on to win and move on. Do you guys see Inter keeping this close?
Close, yes. Yeah.
Okay. In Barca, I mean, they're going to come out and they're going to try and put a number at home. I'm talking about Barcelona here. They're going to try and put, say 3-0, 4-1 on Inter. I don't know if they could do that, but that's what their goal is going to be. They're out there. I think Lewandowski is in doubt, but other than that, they're mostly healthy. I could see Barcelona trucking Inter.
I think Inter has the defensive discipline to defend for a full game. Like you mentioned, like they are in pretty woeful form right now. They just kind of fumbled the lead in Serie A, and they squeaked by Bayern in the last round, and they've not performed well domestically. I would hope that they could get up for a Champions League semifinal against Barcelona, but on paper and in practice, Barcelona are the better team. I see this game being like 2-0 Barcelona, and then maybe Inter, pull one back in the second leg. But I think Barcelona go through from this. They're just a better team.
Anything to add, Tommy?
Yeah, I actually like Inter in this. Like
Oh,
they've they've been the best team in Europe, or most consistent team in Europe for I think the last 2 or 3 years. Final, semifinal, and then in the year between that, I'm not sure what they made. Um, but defensively, they're very organized.
mm-hmm.
Attacking wise, they have some rotations that, if like, let's say Barca's wingers are not disciplined to follow their man, with Barcelona's aggressive high press, they could be in on goal very, very quickly. And it's just like that's what they did to Bayern at the end of the game. One moment where you turn off, 5 seconds later, it's in the back of your own net. And I think that will be interesting to see what Barca does with kind of the fluid rotations that Inter Milan do. And they're very comfortable sitting in their own half, possessing in their own half, defending with the ball. And so I think they present a challenge for some of these kind of European elites that want to dominate the ball, high press. Like there's some issues that they create with their comfort in their own half, with or without the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Inter's done it before, but man, watching that Barcelona team recently, it's just been like, wow, this team looks like a Champions League winning team. All right, let's take a step down to the Europa League, where it all comes down to this for Manchester United and Tottenham. Both teams stink. What are we in, like 14th and 16th place, something like that, respectively? In the Premier League, yeah, 14th for Manchester United, 16th for Tottenham. Neither one of us have looked, like we gave a shit in weeks in the Premier League, but just finding a way to keep on keeping on in Europa. And shout out to the Norwegian. Minnows doesn't feel right, but whatever. They make it to a Europa League semifinal. You're not really a minnow. But here's the thing about Bodo Glimt. They are a tiny team. They play in a small league in Norway. They play in a stadium. I heard it was 8,000 people. That's the capacity of their stadium up in Norway. They're a very good team. They're very disciplined. They have scored, I think, in every game they play. And we have Tottenham, whose defense we don't even need to go into that, obviously. So, like a both teams to score type thing, could definitely see that. For Tottenham, the key for me this first leg. Obviously, we're at home. We did this against Eintracht Frankfurt, and it didn't go the way I thought it needed to go for us to move on, but we still made it through. Like, we have to score early. We have to get some goals on the board. I do not want to go back to Norway, without at least a multiple goal lead. We need, and I do think that's possible. I think that Tottenham, we're healthy. Yes, we stink. Yes, we stink. But for whatever reason, we have been able to put it together in Europa League, where our concentration and our focus has been. I think that we're gonna come out and win this game 4-1. I think that we are going to win this game big, and I feel good about this. Like, I haven't really felt good about a Tottenham game in years at this point. It feels like I feel like we are. There's all this talk about the sort of Cinderella of Norway, and like this narrative that I heard talked about a lot on CBS, or maybe it was Paramount, where like the winner of Bilbao and United is like they're gonna have a cakewalk in the final. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if anybody's seen Manchester United play lately. If like you're focusing on Athletic Bilbao as a clear like sort of favorite over Tottenham, okay, I understand that. But like Manchester United, like what? Based on what are they like somehow, demonstrably better than Tottenham Hotspur right now? I don't understand that narrative. But I do think that we get through this multiple goals up, and we hang on and somehow make it to the final. Now, I don't want to talk about what happens then, but I don't know. You guys got any thoughts on either one of these matchups?
Let me know whatever you're betting, and I'm gonna fade the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's
Just
fair.
would you say 4-1?
Yeah,
I'll take
4-1.
I'll take Boda Glimt money line on that. You're at home first, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. No, all right. So I do like you guys to put up a fight at home, but away, you think Richarlison is going to be super comfortable in those Norwegian conditions? That is going to be a hostile second leg for you guys. All 8,000 of those fans, you're going to feel it. I do think that you guys have the I don't know. You have 11 players out there usually. I think you guys can put together two legs, but it's not going to be easy. And on the other front, United and Bilbao, like Bilbao just kind of dismantled Lazio in the round before this. Like they are a team that is poised to go win Europa League. And just because Manchester United is Manchester United, that's not them this season. They are not the league titles of past and the trophies of past and the Alex Fergusons. They're just a couple players, and I think Bilbao will advance through that one.
Yeah, they got United has to go to Bilbao for that first leg, which is tough. Tommy, any thoughts on either one of them?
Yeah, I like Mitch's statement there that you guys have 11 players, right? There are two teams playing in this and two assemblies of 11 players plus whatever it's 9 bench
Tommy's
players.
dropping some knowledge this one. He earlier when he was like, if you score a lot of goals and you don't concede, then that gives you a good chance of winning. Dude, I wrote that down immediately.
Yeah. There are two teams that are legit teams, and I would love to see both of them go through. And to your point, I think this is like for Bodo Glimt, this first leg is damage control. Because if you looked at any of their ties, they wiped the floor with teams at Bodo Glimt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Tottenham has any sort of mental resolve to go in with a tie or a 1-goal advantage and grind that out in Norway. There's zero chance that they do that if that's the scoreline.
I would have agreed with you in having zero faith in that, except for the fact that we did just kind of do that against Frankfurt. And yes, we did get very lucky on so many occasions in that game. I can't believe that they didn't, basically score 3 or 4 goals in the second leg of the quarterfinal. But they did. They grounded out. And against, I think, a team that was very good. I think that Eintracht Frankfurt team is kind of like a very good team, and I don't think we got much credit for the fact that we went in there and beat them on their field. I thought that we were sort of not giving any flowers on that when that was a good win. But you're right. I mean, other than that one game away at Frankfurt where we definitely got some bounces, they just missed some very makeable shots. There's not a lot of evidence out there to suggest that Tottenham will, come up big, especially in the second leg away from home.
And you know that they don't have a game between these legs.
Oh, we
Bodo
don't?
Glimt.
Or they don't. I was gonna say we do. They don't.
Yeah, Bodo Glimt does not.
Yeah, don't like that.
Ooh.
Don't like
I'd
that.
also like to bring up currently in Frankfurt, Germany, it is 60 degrees. Currently in Bodo, Norway, it is 34 degrees. So you didn't exactly, go into hostile weather conditions and prove it.
Not hostile weather, but we went into hostile conditions. I mean,
Okay, all right.
And it's turf.
Oh,
it is turf. That's true up in
and
Norway.
I think that has tripped up a lot of these teams. Like I watched the Lazio game up there, and Lazio did not look up for it at all. Like they just dominated them. And the stadium is sweet. Like the backdrop, especially with whatever the sun does up there, it's light or sunset the whole time, and you've got the mountains in the background, the little town, and the stadium's just bouncing. So I want that tie to be close going into the second leg.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't really care about United. So I just want Bilbao to win. But for me, the real story is this game.
I mean, they're going to have all their little penguins and polar bears out there. It's going to be a tough second leg. That's why I'm saying we need to put a number on them. And I feel good about this week. I feel good. 4-1. You heard it here first. All right. Now, quickly, before we get to stoppage time, we have a quick message we got to get from our good friends over at Arc Designs, the world-class 3D engraving shop based out of Loveland, Ohio, of course. Tommy, what do the people got to know about Arc Designs here?
Yeah, I think it's great for making your home feel more like a football home, whether it's posters on the wall, coasters. They've got everything to make you feel like you're a true football fan in your own home. And the discount code for this awesome stuff is SAM25. And so make sure that you use the discount code and get some Arc Design stuff because it's good shit.
There we go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, in and out. Well done, guys. Both on your ad reads there. Nailed it. All right, stoppage time. Time to put this episode to bed. Where we got to start, where we always start, which is Ivan Toney's best bets and the overtrain. Where this past week, wow, we started out real hot. The first two games of the week, I was feeling good. We had a USL championship game, San Antonio and Colorado Springs switchbacks. San Antonio came back, won 3-2. Nardo and Kristiansund in the Norwegian Cup, 1-4. That's the way you want to start a week on Wednesday and Thursday. Unfortunately, from there on, it was a 0-0 game on Friday, 1-0 on Saturday, and 1-0 on Sunday. And by the way, the A-League, we've been talking about this a lot in the Discord. The A-League was just on fire 2 weeks ago. This past weekend, I don't know what happened, but down under they just dried up. There were no goals in Australia, and that one hurt. But you know what the best thing about the overtrain, as somebody said in the Discord recently, we just get back up and get back on it. So here it is, overtrain 5-a-side picks Wednesday through Sunday, one a day. These are all going over. Let's go get rich. We're going to start on Wednesday with the Asian Champions League, AFC Champions League semifinal. Al Nasser and our boy Ronnie are hosting Kawasaki Frontale, which is a Japanese team. Thursday, we're going to China, the Chinese Super League. Shanghai Port is hosting Beijing Guan. Friday, we're going to the Danish Super League, and where Randers is hosting Nordsjælland. Saturday, Darmstadt and Hamburg in Bundesliga 2. And then Sunday, we will wrap things up with the Swedish Allsvenskan, where IFK Norrköping is hosting Häcken. There we go. Love them all. We're going to get back on the winning streak here. We had a 1 week off. We were actually doing quite well before then, and we're going to get right back to it. All right, Mitchell, what do you got for us on the Ivan Toney's best bet this week?
I went real big, real bold last week, and I don't think that's the move if you are looking to actually hit these bets, so we're gonna tone it down just a little bit for this week. These are all gonna happen on Saturday. I like Everton to win against Ipswich at home. Everton has not scored in their last 2 games, and there's nobody better to do it than against Ipswich at home. I like Atletico Madrid money line against Alaves. That's plus money right now for some reason. It's at Alaves, but Madrid are like, Madrid. Don't overthink that one. And then I like Napoli -1.5 against Lecce. Napoli are now in the driver's seat for Serie A. They're in no other competitions, unlike Inter Milan. They are going to demolish Lecce. They want to grab this title by the gruff of the neck and take it. And if you put all 3 of those together, you're at plus 775.
Okay, there we go. I like it. Not aggressive. We're just going to go plus 775 this week.
That's not
no
crazy.
big deal. No big deal. All right, Tommy, want to finish this up here?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna go under in both first legs of Champions League, and if you want to sprinkle the Bodo Glimt Spurs under, please do.
Boo. Hate that. Hate that pick. But first legs, it's never a bad idea to go under, unfortunately, on the first legs. All right, let's go to everybody's favorite segment here, GOAWs. GOA time. Now, I think, Mitch, you teased us a little bit earlier, I think. So why don't you start us off?
So my negative Goa is Unai Emery for doing what Unai Emery does, and that is fumbling a team's success at the end of a season. He screwed Villa's chances at top 4, Champions League, and FA Cup in the space of like 5 days, and that is what Unai Emery does. But I don't want to harp on that too much. We talked a lot about that. My positive Goas are both named Jordi Petrovic and Jordi Mihailovic. And Jordi Petrovic, one New England Revolution legend, is the highest rated goalkeeper in Europe's top 5 leagues this season and Ligue 1. The New England Revolution sold him for a record transfer fee for a goalkeeper. We were sad to see him go, but it's awesome to see the success that he's had over in France. And then Jordi Mihailovic for one very small thing that he did this weekend, and that is he scored a free kick under the wall. There's very few players that go under the wall successfully, I might add, and it was beautiful. It was calculated. The wall jumped just like they were supposed to, and he just like slid it right under there. Keeper had no chance, and I think it's just a beautiful way to take a free kick. There's a lot of good ones, but we very rarely see an under the wall free kick, and I appreciate the unique approach to it.
It takes some balls to
It does.
give it a
You
shot.
look like a jackrabbit if you just put it into somebody's feet, but the entire wall jumped and he just slid it right under. He like whispered to his teammate too first, and I'm imagining he was like, "Hey, watch this," and then put it under the wall. That's what I'd like.
They had to do some advanced scouting and knew that the opponent liked to jump on that, right?
Is that a level, Tommy? I wonder this a lot too. Like tendencies on set pieces like that. Would a set piece coach at a level like MLS be like, hey, this opposition, their wall jumps every single time, or this keeper cheats to his near post on corner kicks, or something like that? Like, is that an insight that a coaching staff would have, or is that Mihailovic seeing earlier in the game they jumped, and now in the second half, like, oh, I'm going to try this out?
I think it's a bit of both. Like,
okay.
In the case that it's very egregious that they like jump incredibly high, yeah, and then be like, hey, the wall jumps and they don't have anyone underneath, kind of thing. But then, like, let's say that's 30% or 25%. The 70%, 75% is mostly just the player having a feeling for like the moment and just magic. I think stuff like that is more player magic, like direct free kicks, than set piece.
Gotcha. All right.
Your turn, Tommy. What do you got goal-wise?
I got 2. One's very close to home. It is my teammate, Josh Erlandson, the younger brother of one of our center backs who came on late in the game. Basically had one touch, goal, and we walked off winners. And he's on a short-term contract, and I think it's coming close to the end of it. So for me, it was a great moment for him, his family, his parents were in the crowd. He's from Ohio, so we were in Kentucky, so close by. Yeah, just a cool moment for them and their family. And then the other one I had was for the Liverpool parade, or kind of just coronation, walking to the game with all the fans. One Liverpool native bought 10,000 blue flares and repackaged them as red flares and then sold them. And there's this awesome picture of everyone lighting red flares and then this singular blue flare in the middle. So I know that's a moment Adam F loved. And I just think it's just awesome.
That's a good shout. I had that one written down as well. Yeah, there was another one that infiltrated into the actual stadium. I saw. So well done to that Everton fan. You know, it's the little victories that matter most sometime. And by the way, now before we get to my goals, Riley had a good question in the chat that I want to get your guys' thoughts on as non-Spurs fans. Would it be funnier if Spurs lose to Bodo or if they lose to Bilbao in the final?
Bodo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My goals for the week. I got several quick shout outs. So I'm going to give it to South Africa's Mamelodi Sundowns, who beat Egypt's Al Ali in the semifinals of the African version of the Champions League. So this will be the first, and this was in the Champions League semifinals. This will be the first year since 2019. Think about that. Since 2019, that Al Ali will not be in the Champions League final. So quite a little run there from the Egyptian team. Real Madrid gets a shout out for just doing an ungodly, terrible job of, number one, sort of whining constantly in the lead up to the Copa del Rey final. Then they absolutely lost their shit during the game. Antonio Rudiger looked like he was going to go strangle the ref in the middle of the game. Just like something is going on with Real Madrid and the whining about refs. Like they get at least 50% of calls. Like let's just be honest here. Like they're in no position to be whining about refereeing. The guy also, by the way, in that same game, Mbappe scored a free kick, and so the guy who runs the Has Mbappe scored a free kick Twitter account, his whole raison d'etre is well, it was a good run. So shout out to him. Quickly, Ine Aluko, former national team player for England's women team and sort of a current pundit over in the UK. She was on a BBC show and she tried to make the point that male commentators sort of working in the women's game risk sort of boxing out and keeping women from making their way up and getting more work in that sphere or in that universe. The way she did it, that point is okay. It's an understandable point. The way she did it, though, was to essentially criticize Ian Wright, who had for years and years and years has been one of the biggest proponents of the women's game and has been just sort of a supporter both publicly and like he's out there paying for women's like ACL repairs and so like quietly stuff you don't even know about. So he's basically just been a great supporter of women's soccer. And for her to go, even sort of accidentally, to go at him and criticize him was just a terrible way to go about it. Just a very ham-handed approach to that. My actual goal for the week, though, goes to Michael Bucksbaum, who is a hero to gamblers everywhere and an absolute dumbass at the same time. So he filed a real lawsuit against the U.S. women's national teams. U.S. women's national team under the False Claims Act, since, according to him, they did not try to beat Japan in a She Believes Cup match a few weeks ago. That was his whole argument, that the U.S. women's national team went out and did not try to win the game. So on the one hand, he's kind of living out the dream that all bettors have. Like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna sue somebody. He's actually suing the women's national team or U.S. soccer or whatever. At the same time, I mean, get a grip, my guy. Like you lost a bet.
Call the hotline. You don't have to call a lawyer. Call the hotline.
Right. It'd be a lot cheaper to do that. So Michael Bucksbaum, you get our go on the board this week. All right, that's all we got this week, everybody. Mitchell, Tommy, you guys are the best. Mikey and Tyler will be back soon. Mikey's actually in Leeds at the moment with Larry for the crowning of. We didn't get to the championship check-in. The crowning of Leeds and their not crowning, but at least their promotion to the Premier League, along with Burnley. So congrats to both those teams. Anyway, we will be back bigger, better, faster, stronger next week. See you guys then.